Hello, welcome to my channel where I talk mostly about watercolour painting. So for this demonstration I'm going to be doing this quite moody semi-abstract landscape painting, and the colours I'm using are burnt sienna with a little bit of Winsor Violet mixed in, and I'm also using Phythalo Blue, Paynes Grey and a bit of raw sienna. And at the end I actually add in a little bit of white with an acrylic pen, and I also use my black pen a little bit as well. And obviously I've got straight into the demonstration. I've already put down my burnt sienna with my Winsor Violet mixed in for the sky, and here I'm putting the mountains in with my Paynes Grey, and these initial layers are quite light. I'm using a wet and wet technique, so the edges of the mountains are slightly blurred, and I've just actually put a tiny bit of the Phythalo Blue on top of that Paynes Grey. And it's all looking quite light, so I decided to make quite a bold move, and I put my Phythalo Blue down in quite a saturated way, and I knew that I'd be covering some of this up, but I really knew that I wanted this colour to show through at the end, so I thought that it could be a good thing to just get that colour down and work off of that. And then I put some of the raw sienna down as well, with the same sort of thoughts in mind that I was going to cover it up. I was making it look very landscape-like at this point, but I am working quite intuitively, and I'm really being quite experimental. So once I'd put those darker colours down, it was a good chance to go, darker with the mountains as well, and that's what I'm doing here. Okay, so the paint is drying, and it has dried lighter, and I decided to go for it and put darker paint down on top of these layers. And I started at the bottom. I was just trying it out really, and then I'm putting some of the Paynes Grey on top of that raw umber, and that's really toning it down a little bit. So I really like to use these mats just to frame the painting to see what it might look finished. And I got my Phythalo Blue here and I laid it on top again of that Phythalo Blue layer, and you can see some of the pure Phythalo Blue sort of peeping through at the bottom, and it's really bright, and that's a really nice thing with watercolour. If you can keep some of the colour really pure, you get these really bright colours. But I did really decide to go quite a bit darker with this, and I'm adding darker layers here, and I actually, as these layers dry, I actually end up adding even darker Paynes Grey on top. But I'm going to put the music up for the rest of this demonstration, and then I'll jump in again at the end. Okay, so at this point my painting's really finished, but I sort of went away and took a break, and then I really decided that it needed a little bit more added to it, and I decided to add these quite abstract lines. At the bottom I'm using my black pen, and then at the top I used a white acrylic pen, and I think that the painting, I think this adds a sort of structure to the painting that I really liked, and I really like adding these sort of graphic elements sometimes to my semi-abstract landscapes. So I really hope you've enjoyed this demonstration, that you found it interesting, and if you try something similar yourself, then I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you did like the video, then please hit like, and if you'd like to see similar videos in the future, then please subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you, bye.